Good afternoon. This is Greg Brown, the superintendent at USD 435, coming at you again here this afternoon. Hopefully, this system will work a lot better than what we had going on yesterday. This is working the way we'd like to have it work. We invite you all to ask any questions that you may have. As we get to going here, there should be a little button over to the side where you can ask your questions. I'm going to pick up where we left off yesterday, knowing that things did not work as well as they were supposed to from here in my basement. I want to thank Mike Leiby for the extra help that he gave me to try to get things going in the direction they should be going here today. I want to thank you, parents, for picking up your children's belongings at the schools late last week. It was great to have those things going where they belong, and also to get the iPads in the kiddos' hands so that we can do our continuous learning program the way that we hope to do it. Hey, I see Chris is on there. Looks like it's working today. Thank you, Chris. We also want to express a sincere appreciation for the staff members who gave up their spring break to get things ready to be picked up. Last week, just a tremendous effort during the last less than 2 weeks since we found out that we were going to have to do school a whole lot differently than the way we're doing it now. And what's that? There are no questions on the phone.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Okay, my secretary Denise is trying to help me out here. I'm going to make her come on the screen here if she interrupts me again, but that'll be all right. So yeah, there's just been a tremendous number of people that gave up a lot of their spring break last week to make sure things were in place and beginning in the right foot and right direction as we are making our plans to take care of business next week. I'd like to start out a little bit. We're getting used to our new normal with regard to serving lunches between 11:30 and 12:30 every day. Yesterday, we realized that we perhaps missed a little bit of communication with our patrons, and I apologize for that. And we served 553 lunches. With each lunch is a sack breakfast for the next day as well. Today, that increased to 768 lunches. It's incredible that we're able to provide that kind of service for our families, and I want to thank our food service department. We've got bus drivers helping out as well. We've got some teachers helping out, and others that are making sure that that gets covered as it should each day. And we do know that we have some families that need some home deliveries, and we've started doing some of that. If you're still a family that needs to take advantage of our lunch program, and you live out in the country, you live perhaps obviously outside of city limits, feel free to contact Dory Collins. She is collecting that information, and we will do our best to begin to deliver those to your homes as well. Dory Collins' email is D, like Dory, and then Collins, all is one word, COLLINS, at Abilene Schools, and that is plural.org. When you picked up your children's things last week, and some of you I know even had some things delivered yet today, I know Mr. Burton was out taking care of that with the high school. I want to thank him for that as well. You should have received in the bag of stuff some directions for how to deal with the iPad at home. For you families with kindergarten through 5th grade kiddos, you're not used to having the iPad there in your house from the school system, and that's what's this is addressing now, is to kind of give you some things to think about. Probably one of the primary things there is that the iPads for kindergarten through 5th grade will be locked on a static screen from 10 p.m. until 7 a.m. every night. So that kind of alleviates you from worrying about what the young people will do with that machine, and they won't be able to stay up all night long to play on their iPad. You should know that here in the school system, we have a pretty direct line with the county health department, and I appreciate that. We're in constant communication with them, and we are being placed. Dickinson County is being placed in a new order beginning at midnight tonight, where essential employees are exempt. I'm sorry, where everybody is expected to stay home with the exception of essential employees. For Abilene USD 435, our essential employees will be those folks who need to work with our fund accounting that's taking care of paying some bills, our custodial staff who walks through the buildings, make sure that they're secure and safe, our administrators, and then the food service folks that I mentioned already that are serving our lunches again from 11:30 to 12:30 every day at our 6 sites. If this is new to you, the food service, our 6 sites are our 3 elementary schools. Then we have our 2 bus stops. Many of you are familiar with one at 501 North Brady. Then the other bus stop is at 6th and Cooney at the Community Bible Church there. And then the 6th bus stop then is at St. Andrews at the parking lot there near their school. So again, if you need to feed a young person ages 1 through 18, we invite you to come by and pick up a lunch, and it is free of charge. I've asked the teachers as they are beginning to make contact with families and young people to share some neat things that go on during this very special time in history. And I've already started receiving some things. I wish with everything I had that I could show you this really neat picture that we received from a kindergarten student to Mrs. Willie. It just melted my heart to see her picture and the note that she wrote to Mrs. Willie, and it's just really a neat thing. And I guess what I'm going to encourage you at home to do is embrace some of this change that's going on and understand that we're kind of redefining how to develop positive relationships between the school and home and our children. And our young people, our youngest students are pretty comfortable using that iPad. They're going to do some great things during the next 8 weeks, even though they're not in their classroom. And this was just a perfect example of that. Our K through 3rd grade students are very used to using a program we call Seesaw. Many of you parents are used to seeing some work on that platform as well. Another highlight, Mrs. Leiby shared with me, the 3rd graders, how tech savvy they are. She received a very neat video on Seesaw last night showing Mrs. Leiby her house, where her bedroom is, her brother's bedroom, their stairs, even their little sister saying hi to all of my sister's friends. It was what was on the video, just really kind of a heartwarming thing there. As the teachers are continuing to prepare families for what to expect when we're doing school from home, some things were shared this morning by our teacher leaders. The Kennedy and McKinley elementary schools are working on a list. I believe it's going to be kind of set up on a weekly basis, but each day during that week will be a list of should do's for parents to encourage their young people to participate in, to help with their learning. And then beside it, a list of could do's if they would like to do more than probably the minimal kind of learning activity. And then I think there's also some enrichment activities on those sheets of information that will come out to our students via Seesaw and our other educational platforms. Eisenhower, they are working on having a homeroom Zoom once a week so that they can maintain some contact. These kinds of formats where we get to see our young people's faces, our teachers get to see their faces, and vice versa, I think are important to maintain during the next several weeks. I know that our teachers their hearts are aching to be around their classes, and it has really made them feel a whole lot better, even as adults, seeing our kids, even though it's virtually. And I believe it's helping some of our young people as well. We're also looking at ways to reduce the importance or the focus, I guess, that we traditionally have on grading. That's happening in our middle school in particular. It was pointed out this morning that the word for the year at our middle school staff is connections. And yet here we are redefining what our connections are going to look like here during the coming weeks. And it's really kind of interesting. Both at the middle school and the high school, they're looking a little bit at establishing some very deliberate contact hours to help families with questions that they may have related to the different lessons that are received via the website. Our counselors and special education teachers and social workers, they're reaching out to maintain a level of connectedness with our families, and that's important. The DCLE students have all been sent emails from Mr. Roth, which outline how some of the virtual program parameters for testing are changing up a little bit to make some things work in this new way of doing school as well. Another comment that I want to make sure that everybody is aware of: if you have a young person who was intending to take driver's ed this summer, driver's ed plans are not what we're going to call canceled yet. We're going to postpone those and catch up with you later. Hopefully we'll reach a time where this coronavirus issue is not nearly the issue that it has been here in the past few weeks, and we know that we're going to have some more cases discovered coming up in the coming weeks. But we're hoping that come the end of May that we're on the downhill side of this and we can start to reschedule some things like driver's ed, graduation, prom, all of those kinds of neat things that are important to our families, to our community. The Salina Technical School, they are having small numbers of students come in and work on their hands-on projects. As of right now, they're letting about 10 go in at a time. That's following the governor's regulations on that. And so if you have questions about where you're at, if you have a student in the Salina Tech School, contact your child's teacher. Not all of the technical school programs are allowing some access into their buildings, but where they can do so in an appropriate way, I believe they are allowing some kids to go in and finish up on their projects. As I kind of finish up what I'm having to share with you today, I thought it was really interesting. One of our board members, Robert Keener, shared the other day after our special board meeting that an interesting quote that I want to share with you. What's important in our lives is simply changing. And that's true. Some of the things that we normally think are extremely important for us and for our families and for our kids are kind of being bumped on some other things that today seem to be a whole lot more important. And so that's true. What's important in our lives is changing. If there are no questions coming up, I will go ahead and wrap up here this afternoon. And again, I want to thank you for tuning in with us. We will try this again tomorrow at 4 o'clock. And again, if you have any questions, whether it's during the broadcast or at any time, feel free to email the person who is most capable of answering that question for you, whether it be your child's teacher or the administrator in the building. You can also email me anytime you'd like, and that's gbrown@abileneschools.org. And also, if you need a more timely answer to a question, feel free to use my cell phone number, and that is 785-223-1972. The Zoom, when is it going to be released to the students? I think that's going to come up pretty soon. The teachers are going to kind of finish up some work at least by Thursday. I think by the end of the week, you will have what you need um, to get onto the Zoom in a very deliberate way. It's really not very hard to figure out. So, Kirsten, I appreciate you asking that question. Any other questions? We've got one from Riley. How is Zoom going to work? Is high school going to have Zoom every day, or are assignments mainly through Canvas? I believe most of your communication is going to be through Canvas with the high school folks. We might, as part of the assignment that you see on Canvas with your teachers, they might encourage some Zoom contact with you. But at this point, I wouldn't get too worried about that at this. And when it's going to be time to start using the Zoom with your classroom, with your teachers, they'll let you know on the Canvas format. Any other questions before we wrap it up here this afternoon? All righty. Kirsten, Riley, thank you for asking your questions. Spread the word. We are going to plan on doing this broadcast again about 4 o'clock every day, and we're in pretty good shape to answer questions that way. And if I can't give you the real specific answer, I can try to get a hold of somebody that can. But again, in the meantime, feel free to email me or any of the other employees on the staff, teachers and administrators, or you can give me a call on my cell phone number, 785-223-1972, and you have an awesome day.